This is the footage for Maverick Entertainment Auto Recovery. This is for the bonus footage. My name is Ernest Johnson, and I am the executive producer, and the writer of Auto Recovery.
All right, look, we're gonna pull it to the gate just like cable guys. I need you to get an unmarked truck, and I need you to get that magnet with the local cable company on it, so we can put that on the side of the truck.
Auto Recovery is a movie. It's a fun comedy movie about three guys who are expert at high-end automobile repoing. You know, they can get the hard-to-get repo cars that are protected by mansion gates or high security, and so they specialize in putting on disguises and, you know, getting those high-end repo cars.
Oh, I gotta go, man.
Yeah, where are you at, bro? Yeah, pump the trunk, man. Here you go. Go ahead, back off. Get him, dog, get him. Get them buses, man.
But they are challenged when they're hired to repo a certain pastor's car. And when one of the lead guys, who's played by Aaron Frazier, he plays Slim. When he meets the pastor's daughter, he falls in love with her, unbeknownst to him that this is even the pastor's daughter. So he goes to repo her car, and when he goes to repo her car, he falls in love with her, and so he can't do it.
So you mean to tell me this whole time, this I love you and all of that, that was just to get close to me, huh?
Nah, Angela, all that came out before I even had to go through all this. You gotta believe me, man. I have no reason to lie.
And so what happens is that when he falls in love with her, he finds out that they're under an FBI investigation, and when they get caught up in the situation, the FBI brings his background into his face.
Not you two guys again. What? We not moving fast enough, you two clowns?
Listen here, you little punk. I should cite you up right now, arrest you and put you in the pen for the rest of your life.
Hey, wait a minute, you two. Chill out, okay? Chill out.
What, you think I'm scared? Sign me up.
Hey,
Send me to jail. I don't care.
Calm down.
You think I care?
Calm down. Keep your cool. We don't want to make this worse than it already is.
Alright, man, whatever.
Now, we all have a job here to do. And we don't have no time to be spending bickering around with each other. Now you, whatever you come up with since you've been going to the church, any new leads or something that will help us out?
No, nothing. We still trying to get in the swing of this.
I know something. I think I'm gonna love going to church with all them fine ladies they got over there. Yeah. Kid in the candy store. Little daddy.
Hey, remember, you're not going for the girls. You're going there to do a job.
What? Find some dirt in the preachers so y'all can ruin them?
This is what I'm talking about. Smart mouth little youngsters.
Was I talking to you?
Just wait a minute. Put it like this. We just came here today to help you guys. If you need anything that will help you with your undercover investigation.
First of all, if we need anything, I'll tell you. I'm already going against my will because I got a son at home who needs his father. I'm going against everything I was taught just to save him. My son needs his father. I haven't had my father since I was 10. Going through group homes, foster care homes. I even had to sleep on the street sometimes. I don't want my son to go through that. I want him to be able to experience all the things I didn't get to experience. That's the only reason why I'm doing something that I normally wouldn't do.
Wait a minute. I know that this will be a difficult task for you. But at the end, we will all benefit from this. And you? You'll be able to raise a child and have a good life.
And says, look, we'll make a deal with you. Either you set this bishop up, find out information about misappropriation of funds, or spend 10 years in jail for your past crimes. So he's, you know, the team of guys are then faced with setting this pastor up or, you know, facing jail times.
Remember when I met you at the store?
Yeah.
Well, the store clerk, she was an FBI agent. She investigates IRS issues dealing with tax evasion.
So what does that have to do with us?
Well, the bishop is under investigation for tax evasion.
What?
Yeah, my boy was looking out for your daughter and was investigating himself. And they came over, you know what I'm saying, to our job and demanded that we come up with something against you or else.
Or else what?
My boy Slim, he got a pass and he was trying to get away from it, but he caught up with him. So he had to become an informant, you know what I'm saying, with the special agents to avoid doing 20 years in jail.
So it's a pretty interesting story. It's a fun-loving story. You know, you had the characters. You have a lot of empathy for the characters. The lead character, Slim, who is also played by Aaron Frazier, that was Weird Harold on Fat Albert. He's a single father. He's raising his son by himself. And so he's under the pressure of really trying to be around for his son and, you know, be that good father figure, not be that deadbeat dad.
Come on, kid. Come on. Come on.
Where you going? Where you going, kid? Where you going?
What you ready for? Hey, son, don't be ready for no crowd. Ain't going here, boy.
Show yourself, kid. Where you going? Right.
What is you doing? Get up!
Kid, come on.
The baby's mom is dead, and so he's doing a good job as a father. So he has a lot on the line here, and he really values his relationship with his son. Auto Recovery has a good moral story to it. It has a good feel to it. It's a very entertaining story. It's funny. There are parts of the movie that just, you know, cause you to laugh. And it shows you the best of the rich world, the middle class world, the poor world. It shows you that everybody gets their cars repoed at one time or another. I mean, not everybody. You know, there are people who have never experienced that, but those that have, it's a heartwarming experience. It's a disappointing experience, but it can be a victorious experience when you finally come out of it. Auto Recovery is a movie that has a good, solid cast. Aaron Frazier has been in the industry for a while now. He's done a lot of television projects. He played Weird Harold in Fat Albert. He's been in several motion picture projects, and he brings a lot to the film. He is really, really a young, talented actor. He really has very powerful emotional scenes. He has very powerful dialogue in this movie, and you feel a lot of empathy for him as you go, you know, throughout the movie.
My sister's a private investigator. We were trying to set it up so that we could get some dirt on the bishop.
The lead girl in the movie, Angela, she is a very, very powerful actress, and she really brings a lot to the film. And you know, Angela grows up with that moral value that, you know, back in the days when I was coming up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where parents told you never to marry anybody that has a child already. For some reason, it was taboo. And so she's growing up with this philosophy in the church. You know, her parents have taught her not to marry this guy. He's got a kid. In the beginning of their relationship, she knows nothing about the kid, but one day he slips out and he tells her, you know, I'm grown, I'm a father, and she's shocked. And at that point, she wants to break the relationship off. So she has to deal with the struggle of her family tradition and her love for Slim, and it's quite an interesting story. Directing this movie was, it was fun, it was a challenge. You know, I was on the set, and it was like being in heaven. I mean, I just love being on movie sets anyway. Me, I'm a veteran director. I've directed television. I've directed mass production television. I've directed film style projects for the last 26 years for cable, for broadcast, for satellite, for all these televisions. But I must say this is my first film that I have, full-length feature that I've directed, and it was a lot of fun. It was the joy of my life. I definitely want to do more of it, and it was great working with all the actors. We had professional actors, and I'm telling you, it was really great. I worked with Brian Keith Hall, who is very new to the industry and to, doing a film. He'd never done a film before, and he really did a good job for his first time, as people will see in the film. So directing it was just off the hook. I just had the time of my life, and I worked with great people, great actors, had some off the hook crew people, and I'm telling you, I just cannot even tell you the joy of just being on the set and watching this project unfold and watching the vision of the script, unfold and come to pass. And it was a great, great, great experience. And I'm looking forward to doing more projects. How I came up with the idea of auto recovery is quite funny. I was a community leader. I had a Mercedes-Benz, and we're going through some financial situations in my family. So one day, I filed bankruptcy on a house that I had, and I woke up one morning and one of the kids ran in and said, "Hey, your Mercedes on the tow truck." So I'm like, oh my God, they got my Mercedes-Benz. So I had to run out there and take everything outside of the car. And I said, you know what? Instead of me being depressed about this, I just write a story, write a script about it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I came up with the idea of auto recovery. Making auto recovery was a challenge. When I first, came up with the idea and the concept, I wrote the script. And what I did is I walked around for about 6 months with the script idea in my head, and got all this vision and asked myself the different questions, the different writers' questions, why this and who is this, and begin to develop characters in my head. And it actually took me 2 to 3 weeks to actually put the script on paper. And then once the script was done, I said I could either wait on Hollywood or go do the script myself or shoot the movie. And so I got up and did the casting, pulled all the actors together, pulled everything together, and began to shoot the film with no money. I began to shoot the film in HD, and so it was a challenge. It was a challenge. And halfway through the picture was threatening to be shut down, but I hired this young man who had been wanting to be in a lot of the films, and his name was Cornelius Williams. And I happened to see, he happened to call me up about some other business, and I told him I was making this movie, Auto Recovery. And he's like, wow, you gonna give me a role in it? So I created a role for him. And to this day, I'm happy that I did that, because when I created that role for him, he came in and became one of the producers and associate producers, and helped to actually finish the film. So that was a blessing from God. So Auto Recovery, it took a lot of challenges to make this film. It's an entertaining film. It's a way for me to, look at life at a different perspective. And I worked with some great people, and I'm just very thankful to God that we were not only able to start the project, but we were able to finish it. One of the other things that I do want to say is that I read in a magazine one time, I did another movie called Flossin' in 2001, and I read in a magazine that most independent producers never, ever go on to do a second movie. And so when I saw that, I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to fall into that category. We're going to do this movie. And so what happened was we had finished another movie, which was my second movie, and then we went directly into this third movie. And one of the things that prompted me to go ahead and do Auto Recovery was I met the young actor Brian Keith Hall in Columbus, Georgia, while I was out there doing a crusade. And I met him in a store. And I said, this man needs to be in this next movie. I mean, he just has the look. And so next thing I know, I talked to him, and he was on a plane to L.A., and that was another thing that motivated me to say, hey, let's go ahead and let's do this, okay, so it could create work for all of these actors. And I love seeing actors work, and I love seeing everybody make money. So I'm just happy to be a part of auto recovery, and I'm glad that the vision came to pass, and I'm glad that all those that are watching this tape.
My name is Cornelius Williams, producer, actor on Auto Recovery. I want to first thank you all for renting or buying this movie. This is a really good film. It's a classic for one because it's Ernest Johnson's first time directing and my first time producing a feature-length movie. Before I start, I have to give you a little background on myself and how Ernest and I met and how this film came together. Basically, I met Ernest years ago. I used to see him on Compton Cable back in late 80s, I believe. He used to have a church called, well, which he still do, Jesus is the Answer Ministry. He used to have Todd Bridges on there giving testimony. So back during these days, I was in the military. I used to come home and see him on Compton Cable, and I was intrigued because for once, this is even before Creflo Dollar, I saw a black preacher on TV. And he used to have Todd Bridges on there giving testimony. So I never thought in a million years that I would have not only met Ernest Johnson, but yet work with him. And so I started, me being an actor myself for the past 17 years, I started bumping into Ernest in like auditions. We were bumping into each other and malls. And throughout the years, we kind of became friends. I started working for Nielsen Entertainment, so I would do like market research for films. And basically, as we came upon this project, Ernest had already did 2 other films, Flossin', which was his first film, and Foster Babies. And technically, in Foster Babies, I was supposed to be an actor in that, and somehow I got passed up, miraculously. But generally, I was a little disappointed by not being in that film. But I actually started getting off into producing because I got fed up with the business as an actor. And I was actually working on another project at the time when Ernest, got started with Auto Recovery. I was helping a gentleman by the name of Terry. He had his own satellite network, and we were developing shows for that. And I was, kind of working with him as a producer. So I had pretty much started going that way. And the Lord put on my heart to call Ernest because we needed a location to shoot this one project we were working on. And it just so happened when I called Ernest, he was casting for Auto Recovery. But when I called, I wasn't calling so much in regards to being a part of Auto Recovery because I knew what happened with the other film. I knew it, but now jokingly. When I talked to Ernest about, possibly renting his building to shoot this project, he was like, yeah, no problem. And I knew the building was the right building. I have to say this film came together prophetically because the fact that when I called him, he was casting for this movie, and I was calling for something else. And right before I got involved with this film, I was diligently working on this other project, and I introduced him to my other partner that I was working with. We all got together and met, and he said, yeah, you can pretty much, rent the building for close to nothing. And prior to this meeting, a few years back, I was talking to Ernest about, because I've done music also, and he sent me a letter, a prophetic letter, a few years back. God is going to bless me with the spirit of excellency. So I've always wanted to get together with him and talk to him about that, and also tell him about my 7.5-year journey during my album, which is called Judgment Day, which one of the songs, Betrayed, is in the movie also. So as we got together and talked more, and I pretty much talked to Ernest about my future goals and plans of like eventually producing films and other big projects, and I've always known Ernest to do films and all type of stuff. My goal was to do like Christian films and music. So as we got together, we got to talking, and the first thing Ernest said to me, and this is even before I got involved with the project, when we started talking about the music, he said, oh, that's right, your song is Christian, gospel, right? I said, yeah. He said, okay, I may want to use one of your songs for the film. And I was like, okay. And then the next thing he said later was, I have a part for you. And I said to myself, you know, I heard that before. So I didn't take it too seriously because I was, you know, focused on the other project at the time. But I was very thankful that, you know, Ernest, you know, was going to let us use this building for the other project. But it turned out that the other project never did come together, and I wound up getting more involved in this project. He offered me to come on as an associate producer, investor at first, and, you know, I had the part of the guy with the orange shirt at the gate, the guard, the guard at the mansion. And I started getting more and more immensely involved financially and doing the post-production and finishing the film. So I'm very thankful to have had the opportunity to be a part of Auto Recovery. And I have to let you know that it hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of struggle. In fact, after we finished the post-production, a lot of the supposed deals that we thought were going to come through for us didn't come through. So I like to thank Maverick and tip my hat off to them, Maverick Entertainment, for stepping to the plate. Because almost a year passed by before, and we went through a lot of adversity just to get to this point financially. Some of us have lost our homes, car, and all type of stuff. Pretty much my partner here have gone through the ringer. And I had just went through a 7.5-year journey with my music, so I didn't, you know, I've been down and out. But I'd like to thank you out there for renting this movie. It has a lot of sentimental value. There's a good message in it. There's a lot of heart and soul. Ernest and I both put everything we had into this movie. He wrote, direct, and the executive producer. He brought me on as producer. We really put 100% of what we had into it. And I'd just like to say to all of you out there that rented the movie, I would definitely encourage you to go out and buy a copy, buy a few for friends as gifts, because the movie will surely bless you. And tell a friend. And we want to thank you once again, Ernest and I, from the bottoms of our heart. This is Cornelius Williams. Oh, the song Betrayed that's in the movie, if you guys like that movie, that music, that song, you can go to my website, lifeatthedelphrecords.com, go to the music page, click on the CD Baby link, and you can order a copy. It's just $5. And it'll surely bless you. Thank you, and God. Oh, one other thing. I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for making this all possible. And I'd like to thank you out there for supporting us. And this is only the beginning. There will be lots of other great projects coming from us in the near future. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Walter Perez, and I'm a casting director for Auto Recovery. And my job was pretty much to find the actors. So I found the actors through various sources, referrals, websites, and just people that the producer or I have worked with in the past. And when I first read the script, I said, "Wow!" I was amazed. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Man, these will be like some difficult characters to cast." But through the grace of God, you know, we were able to find all the characters, and Angela, which is Slim, potential. Well, I don't want to give out the story, but his girlfriend, pretty much, or the one he's having a little conflict with in the story. I worked with her with a Will Smith project a couple of years back. When I introduced her to the producers, you know, he pretty much loved her. You know, her and Slim, they had good chemistry together. So, you know, I mean, we decided to go ahead and keep her. And Slim worked on one of the producer's previous projects, you know, and Aaron, which is Aaron Fraser, whatever. And then Rouse. We wanted someone who, you know, is pretty much like flexible and, you know, just someone who could be a good supporting actor. So Rouse, who was played by Tyrone Burton, he was a comical relief, and when he came to the audition, you know what I mean, he exhibited that and pretty much outshined the rest of the people who came to the audition. So we decided to go ahead and keep him. And Corey, we found him when we were traveling in Columbus, Georgia, and the producer seen him. He said, you know what, though, he'll be great for the movie. So, you know what I mean, after producer groomed him and trained him, you know, like we told him, I mean, he got on the first plane out here, and you know, we started filming. So all the characters, you know what I mean, match well, and you know, that's how we came across. I mean, that's how we pretty much completed the movie, was through using these characters through referrals and a couple of websites. And all the extras and supporting cast we pretty much got through lots of websites. So that's pretty much how we came across everyone.
Praise the Lord. This is Bishop Ernest Johnson inviting you to come to a miracle move of God this Sunday morning at the Jesus is the Answer Apostolic Church. We're located in 25100 South Normandy Avenue in Harbor City, California. Come on out if you need healing, you need deliverance, you need to be saved, you need to be baptized in Jesus' name, filled with the Holy Ghost. I want to invite you to come on out to the Jesus is the Answer Apostolic Church, 25100 South Normandy Avenue in Harbor City, California. Join us this Sunday morning at 11 a.m. and Bible study is Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Come on out and we'll see you.